Join Gator great Shane Matthews every weekday as he brings you all you need to know about your Florida Gators, including news, analysis, and opinions with some of the biggest names in sports. Find us on Spotify, Apple Podcasts, Google Podcasts, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcasts. Or watch us live at 8 a.m. on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter.
Good morning. Live edition of PodUp with Matthews in the morning from the International Diamond Center Studios, locations across the state of Florida, right there in Celebration Point, in the heart of Gator Nation. Go check them out, International Diamond Center. Comfort Temp Heating Air is your number one local HVAC company. Visit them at comforttemp.com. Don't have a whole lot to talk about today, but we'll have JC join us here, and we'll have Mike Morgan get his thoughts on what's going on in the sports world. JC, you're on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. How's it going?
Well, man, listen, after a weekend like that, where do you start? I guess for those watching this show, you start with the great performance from Jaden Baugh. Second greatest rushing game since, I think, Emmitt Smith's 316 against New Mexico. I think we looked that up and saw that. But what a great way to finish for him as a player. Florida fans have to appreciate him and all the things that he's done to keep his head up and play hard, regardless of all the drama and chaos surrounding the program in terms of the coach. I think it's a great day for Florida when you can sell out that crowd, sell out that stadium at 3-8. Any coach who sees that has to want to be here for sure when he looks at the fan base and he looks at the support. This coach that they've got, John Sumrall, he was either going to go to Auburn or somewhere else, and I think Florida did a very good job. I am giving Scott Strickland credit on this one. I know folks wanted Lane Kiffin. We've already heard enough about Lane Kiffin here. I think the reality is that John Sumrall gives Florida a realistic chance. If you look at this guy's resume, he has been to 4 conference championship games in succession with 2 different schools. He's the only coach in the FBS to have done that. That's at Troy. That's at now Tulane. Here they are right here. And believe it or not, they still have a path to the college football playoff with some other things that have to happen. But I think John Sumrall will be very successful here. I think it's a good hire, QB. I don't think we need the chaos and the drama that has surrounded Lane Kiffin, and I'm glad that Florida has moved on from that way of thinking to basically saying, you know what, this guy, he's not the coach at Penn State or Ohio State or Tennessee. He's the coach at Tulane. And he will finish with them, which I think is another good thing the university is letting them do. And it's not the same thing at Ole Miss and with Lane Kiffin, but that's another subject. I think letting John Sumrall finish playing in his championship game, whether they go to the playoffs or not, is the right thing to do. And I think people will look very fondly of both sides, John's side and the university side. And I think he's going to do wonderful things here at Florida. I think it's a great hire.
Yeah. The whole Lane thing's a mess. Lane's a good football coach, but maybe it's best we don't have to deal with all the nonsense.
That's right.
It's a bad situation all around. But John Sumrall, I don't know anything about him other than coaches at Tulane. I know he played ball at Kentucky. I know Ole Miss wanted him. I know Auburn wanted him. Obviously, Kentucky probably would have wanted him. But here's the thing. There's nothing to worry about it now. You got to focus on him as the new head coach. We'll support him. He's going to hire an OC and a DC. A couple of the OCs, I know their names. I think that's a couple of them people will be excited about. So here's the other thing too. They need to make sure, and I know they know this. They've already talked to them. There's about 4 or 5 players that you have to pay whatever you need to pay to keep them on the roster, and then go from there. So.
Yeah. Well, I mean, if you're thinking about Sumrall, all you got to do is look up his winning percentage.
No, I'm not worried about it. I'm just saying.
I know.
People are worried about it. There's nothing you can do about it if you don't like him or you do like him. He's your coach.
Listen, you can react to it. You can react to it. A lot of folks are trying to tie him in comparison with Billy in terms of coming from the group of 5 and so forth. But this guy owns the 5th highest winning percentage among active FBS coaches. He's 42-11. That's almost 80%. And he only trails Ryan Day, Dan Lanning, Kirby Smart, and Kurt Signetti. I'd say those guys have done pretty well. Look, he's tied for sixth most wins, 42 amongst all those coaches. I think I just said that, but he's 14-2 all time in road conference games. He's third best in the FBS since 2022, behind Ryan Day and Dan Lanning. He's 29-4 in the months of October, November, and December. That's 88%. He's won at least 9 games in every season as the head coach. He's currently averaging 10.5 wins per season and counting. This guy has it. He's got the goods. He's got the resume. I think it's a great hire. Get excited about it, Gator fans, and watch the wins come rolling in. I believe it's going to happen. They love him, by the way, in other places. They wanted him at Auburn. The folks in Mississippi I've talked to said you've got a winner here. The coach at Jacksonville, the Jaguars, Liam Combs, says he's an absolute stud. That's a quote. Man.
Yeah, we also heard Dave Caldwell is the new general manager as well. So people want me to know answer what went wrong with Lane. I don't know all the answer. I wasn't in meetings. Look, I think Lane was pulled in multiple directions, and I think he's handled the situation just as bad as you could possibly handle it.
Well, the reality is that he quit on them. I'm sorry, Coach. He quit on it. I like what Bill Cowher said.
Well, I think what's telling is what, only one coach got on the plane with him?
Yeah.
Like one actual coach.
So
that was Charlie Weiss Jr.
Right. And
his brother got on the plane. His brother's an analyst, which probably would be a coach at LSU, but none of the other coaches got on the plane.
Well, have fun, Charlie. Listen, Pete Golding had a meeting yesterday with his players. Every one of them were excited. I think Ole Miss is still live in this playoffs. I think they'll still be seated properly by the committee. Don't give me this comparison with FSU a year ago or 2 years ago.
No, they'll be okay.
This is going to be a team that still is something you're going to have to deal with. They're going to play with an edge. And listen, I think that Keith Carter was absolutely right in what he did. He told him to get the hell out of here. And Bill Cowher basically says it best. Just go on Twitter. You can see what he said. He says, why should an AD let this guy poach my players and talk to my coaches and tell them for the next month why they should be coming with him to LSU? What a joke. This is not the same thing as Tulane and John Summerall coming to Florida and coaching that game and Lane Kiffin staying at Mississippi at Ole Miss and then deciding to go to LSU. It's not the same thing. And so I'm all about Ole Miss right now. I hope they do well unless they play Alabama.
Which they could.
Which they absolutely could.
Speaking of that game, JC, boy, it came down to the final minutes as usual.
Well, what else is new? It's another game at Auburn between these two schools, and you got to give Kalen DeBoer a little bit of credit for having some real guts going for fourth down. They had the ball for 8 minutes in the fourth quarter on a 15-play drive to win the game, and they were shut down mostly in the second half once again with the adjustments that I thought DJ Durkin did a great job. Somebody needs to hire DJ Durkin to run their defense. That guy knows what he's doing. And Auburn had a great plan against Alabama, even though they fell behind 17-0. And right now we're treated to another Alabama-Georgia SEC championship game. And honestly, I'm just not that excited about that. I'd rather them not play, and let's let Vandy and Texas play in the SEC game to have a play-in game for the real playoffs. Let's do that. I think the game would be just as exciting and just as passionate, because Alabama-Georgia Part 12 just doesn't bring the intrigue to me. This is great. You can win their 28th SEC championship, or Georgia can win their 10th SEC championship, whatever it is. The real tournament starts later.
Yeah, but I'm telling you, those kids and those coaches want to win that championship, JC, trust me. On YouTube, brought to you by Quality Plumbing, Corn Pile Mafia says, I would love to hear Shane's explanation of why Lane didn't come to Florida, being so certain that he was a lock. I said he was a lock about a month ago. Things went sideways. I don't know the answer to that. It doesn't matter now.
No,
it doesn't matter. Look, he's a good football coach, but there's a lot of stuff, as you can see right now, that you got to put up with.
Well, I will listen, man. He is a good football coach.
Yeah.
But all of his accomplishments, I think, are because of Pete Carroll and Nick Saban. He's won one big game his entire career as a head coach. Now, he's won a lot of games at Mississippi, but beating Georgia in 2024 was the only big win he's got. You know, the bring your popcorn, get ready for the show, that kind of thing. Let's go for it on 4th and 2 at the 30-yard line of my own territory. Those kinds of things cost him, and he hasn't won anything as a head coach. LSU is about to spill $50 million. Where the hell are you going to get that?
Mm-hmm.
So they're going to have to do it. They're going to drop it to Brian Kelly on his way out the door, and they're going to give it to this guy who basically just told his players at Mississippi, I quit. You are talking about a guy who is literally leaving his team before the playoffs to go coach a rival. College football's got to get in charge. They've got to get their heads around some guardrails and some rules to stop this from happening. Everybody has the right to be upset in Mississippi. You would feel the same way here in Gainesville if Alabama or somebody like that poached your coach as you were walking into the playoffs. It's just wrong, man. It's wrong. They quit on those players.
Well, let's just put it this way.
I'm sorry.
It could have been handled much differently as Tulane is handling their deal.
Well, he could have said also, guys, I'll tell you what, call me when my season is finished here at Mississippi. Yeah. I would have no problem with that. Oh, well, we can't because of the transfer portal on January 2nd, and the calendar won't let us. That's where college football has to get a grip. They've got to get some guardrails and some rules involved.
Yeah, they do. But just so people know that if Tulane does make the playoffs, John Sumrall will be coaching the Tulane Green Wave in the playoffs. Robert in Fort Myers on the Titan and Mark text line says, morning QB, you may not be able to say if he's coming, but can you at least say if Kate Bell is being strongly considered for our OC? Any insight on OC DC possibilities? Not sure, DC. I will tell you that what I've heard, Kate is one of the potential candidates.
Yeah.
Buster Faulkner from Georgia Tech, Neil Brown, who I don't think is coaching now, was the former, he coached at Troy and at West Virginia. And then the OC at Tennessee, I can't think of his name. So I think one of those guys will be our OC.
Paul 1985 is wrong. If he had chosen Florida instead of LSU and done the same thing, I'd still feel the same way. I'm sorry. This is about the Mississippi players, coaches, athletic directors, and more importantly, their fans who have supported this guy for 6 years. Six. And give him credit for sticking around for 6 years. But the way this was handled was wrong. And I don't blame Keith Carter for telling him to not let the door hit him on the ass. That's pretty much it. We can read about and talk about Lane Kiffin all we want. I'd rather not waste the time right now. I think what we need to focus on around here is this dude right here at this Angry Green Wave. You're going to love him. He is the opposite personality of Billy Napier, who falls asleep on the sideline. This guy is wide awake and knows exactly what he wants to do, exactly how to execute a game plan in the second half, and exactly what to do with the offensive side of the ball, which means get a coordinator who knows what the hell he's doing, and you handle the head coaching job. This is going to make Florida fans very happy. I'm telling you, this is a good thing. Strickland, for all the haters out there, I understand why, but he did a good job in getting this coach because this guy was heading to Auburn. And you're playing Auburn next year, and I think it's great that they got him. I think it's great.
Yeah, and, if he was either going to Auburn, Ole Miss, or Kentucky, so we had to move fast. This text from Michael in Tennessee on the Titan Mark text line. I'm so thankful the Gators weren't part of the soap opera known as the Jimmy Sexton Lane Kiffin show. Lane's a sideshow clown. I believe Florida dodged a bullet. Coach Sumrall could be Florida's blessing in disguise. What are your thoughts? I agree. That, like I said, I think Lane's a phenomenal football coach, but all this stuff that's just going on is just nonsense.
John Sumrall, Iceman's wrong again. This guy's he's whiffing. Everybody knows he coached at Troy. Everybody knows he won the championship at Troy twice, or he went to the championship game twice at Troy. Everybody knows that John Sumrall's been to a conference championship game 4 years in a row with two different schools, and no one's ever done that before in FBS. I know exactly, Iceman, who the hell John Sumrall is. I think he's going to be very good here, and you're going to be happy about it. And I like Tulane, man. Look at the way they play. Look at how they play for their coach. I think it's a good.
And just so people know, he is not hiring.
I'll tell you what. How about this, folks? Would you rather me just say I think Gators screwed up and this guy sucks? You want to hear that instead? Because you didn't get Lane, who hasn't won shit. How about that? Why don't we just shit on John Sumrall and wish we had Lane so that Lane can shit on us in 3 years? down here in good old games. But when Alabama comes calling and Kalen DeBoer's gone, what do you want to do that? You want to go through that? Get out of here.
Electronics for Integration Design Specialist for Smart Home Automation and Entertainment. It's let Electronics World bring the Florida Gators college football, basketball, and the NFL to your living room. Go check them out,
I need to shave.
electronicsworld.com. This guy says, Riley says here on YouTube, JC, Shane, you screwed us. You had us all believing we had Lane.
No, Shane told you what he thought was going to happen and was emphatic about it, and I don't have a problem with it. I think it's great that you did that. And
I'm telling you right now, before all the general manager talk, it was a done deal. Now, after that, again, did we want to have to put up with what's going on? Who knows? Who cares?
Right.
It does not matter now.
No. And by the way, money
matter.
does matter. Don't let them tell you it doesn't. No, you're right, QB. It doesn't matter right now. Everybody turn on the TV, watch these guys beat North Texas, root for.
That's going to be a tough job, though.
It is. But root for Duke to beat Virginia, and these guys will get a bid to the playoffs. While Vandy and Texas sit at home. It's hard to believe, but it's true. Because I think James Madison is good as Bob Chesney's done a great job there. I think he's as good as gold to get into the playoffs. They're going to have a group of 5. It's the rule. I don't really like it, but that's what they decided. I'm excited for John Sumrall to be your Florida head coach here in Gainesville. I think when you hear him talk, when you hear him speak, you're going to say, "Dear God, what a difference from this mummy we had here for 4 years." You're going to really like it. And then, as you say, QB, and I'm sorry to repeat what you already said, but when he hires his offensive coordinator, then I think you're really going to be excited, because this guy says it's mandatory that this school find an OC that knows what he's doing. It's mandatory. That's what he said. He said it's mandatory.
He's going to hire. I think he's going to hire a guy that knows quarterback play, and people will like it. He has some good options out there. There was a thing here I wanted to read on.
I'm talking too much.
That's okay. We like you talking, JC. I can't find it.
Crazy.
I'll find it. Oh, Andrew says, I'm worried Lane coming for our best players, really hoping Sumrall locked in these guys. Look, John Sumrall knows who our core guys that need to stay. You got to remember, we're also saving over $7 million in payroll just on the coach's salary. So
for a year,
it can be thrown at, say, Jaden Ball and Miles Graham.
I mean, Gary
Wilson.
Yes, Gary Condren, get your checkbook. He's going to be writing checks, and it's going to go to Dallas Wilson and people like this that are going to make plays and get that football in the end zone. In the good old days when Florida was just lighting up the scoreboard, you weren't even worried about the defensive side of the ball because you knew you were going to outscore teams, right? And when you do score and you score a lot, the guys on defense just want to go kill people. They want to take heads off. They just uncurl on the opposition. It's so much fun to watch when it's your team. We're going to have that again, I think.
Yeah. JC, I wanted to bring this up. I saw this stat. I was shocked. Vanderbilt had a dominating win. I think they were down most of the game and came back and just blew out Tennessee.
Blew them out.
Do you know Tennessee went 8-4 this year and did not beat a team with a winning record in Power 4 football?
I did not know that.
Yeah, how about that?
Well, I think that's a disappointment for Josh Heupel in Tennessee. I was kind of impressed when I saw him play here, but I will tell you that they had Georgia by the short hairs, if you will. And Vandy's Diego Pavia has to be in New York City for this Heisman Trophy. He has to be.
So my question is, do you think Vanderbilt's going to make the playoffs?
I think they're going to run out of spots.
But let me ask you this.
Okay.
They're 10-2. Oklahoma's 10-2. What's the difference in those two?
I guess you have to look at losses and wins, but I really don't know. And I think Vanderbilt's a better team because of their offense. Now, does that mean that Vanderbilt is going to go beat Oklahoma next week? No, it doesn't mean that. But the thing is that you've also got an Alabama team going to Atlanta that could end up with 3 losses. But I don't think you can penalize them for playing in a game that neither Vandy or Oklahoma qualified for, because Alabama beat Vandy but lost to Oklahoma. Fine. You still can't penalize Alabama for having to play Georgia twice. So that's just crazy in the state of Georgia, by the way. So I think it's I think we're going to have 5 teams. I think it's going to be Alabama. I think it's going to be Georgia. It's going to be Mississippi. It's going to be um, um, Alabama, Georgia, Mississippi. What's wrong with me, QB? I'm drawing a blank here.
I
Out of
don't
the
know.
SEC.
Reading text.
It could be Texas A&M would be the 4th school, and then maybe Vandy or Texas. But
Texas ain't getting in.
You don't think? Okay,
They
then
have no
maybe it'll be Vanderbilt. What will hurt Vanderbilt and potentially even hurt Alabama would be if BYU wins the Big 12 championship game, and that opens up a spot, and everybody has to go down a spot because now you've got 2 Big 12 teams. Texas Tech is in. Win or lose in the Big 12 championship game, they are in, and they will likely beat BYU like they already have. But if BYU wins that game and qualifies, that takes a spot away. Then you've got that Notre Dame Miami argument. QB. Look, I'm not a Miami guy, but they already played each other and they have the same record with literally the same schedule. How do you not take Miami over Notre Dame? If those games don't matter, then why are we playing them? We can't. They're not going to play those games anymore. I'm telling you, Notre Dame gets to sit around now after beating Stanford, after beating Navy, after beating Boston College, after beating Syracuse, after beating Florida, and they're going to play nobody of consequence other than the 2 teams they lost to, Miami and Texas A&M, and they're going to sit there and just rest up and get ready for the playoffs while everybody else is beating their brains out. Tell me about Notre Dame. Boy, did they get a great deal. So,
Tony from Atlanta on the Time
anyway.
Mark text line. Why are we hiring a GM, and is there any chance that turned Kiffin away from us? No, everybody has a GM. Kiffin has his own GM. He's going with him to LSU.
The reason why Miami didn't make the damn ACC championship game is because of how bad the all chaos conference is. You lost to NC State, but it doesn't count. You're Duke. You have 5 losses. You have 2 conference losses, but you really have 3 because you lost to NC State, but they don't count that. Miami is a better team than Duke, folks. Everybody knows it. And right now, the way they're playing, I think they're a playoff team. I mean, you saw them in person, QB. You know they got ballers. They can play.
Nathaniel says, please stop talking about hiring Cade Bell. He says they're amateurs. I don't know about that, buddy. He's got multiple major high-profile schools wanting him.
Well,
he's going when coaches can coach.
Yeah, he's going to be fine.
He's very good at what he does.
He's going to be fine.
And I don't say that just because I know the kid. I just think he's very good at what he does. Clay wants to know on Facebook Live, brought to you by Mel. Shane, why did we not talk to Lincoln Riley? Apparently he wanted to come. I have no idea. Trace Armstrong represents him. His office is across the street from the stadium.
Go call. Go call.
I do know this. I got no response. So
I do know this. The great Jimmy Sexton has fewer coaches as clients out of this conference than he used to have, and folks are going to start corrupting. They're going to start colluding against him. I'm telling you that they don't want to deal with this soap opera. This thing with Lane Kiffin is just overwhelming. But
Nathaniel says I've been wrong about everything. Well, appreciate you listening.
All right,
listen anymore.
What did he say?
He said I've been wrong about everything. I've not been wrong. I said our football team was not going to be not very good. I mean, which is true. I will say this, we dominated Florida State, but I have no idea how in the world they beat Alabama. That is a bad football team who is going to be even worse next year, in my opinion.
Well, they did, but they beat them 3 months ago. It's a different team, it appears. Different team. Teams change during the season, folks. Some teams get better, some teams get worse. It's not the same team every weekend. You know that. We're talking about college kids here. And look, the Carolina Panthers beat the great LA Rams yesterday in a football game.
I told you that's the National Football League, dude.
Yeah, but
what's going to happen?
Right, and turnovers can change everything. And I just think
honestly, the Redskins should have won last night.
Well, they had a chance. They did.
They had a guy wide ass open to win the game.
But the blitz
knocked
it down. But he was wide open to win the game. Denver's won something like 10 straight, I think.
10-2.
They've won a lot of games.
JB says Cade Bell for OC, bring his QB with him. I will tell you this. I know this for a fact. Wherever Cade is calling plays next year, his quarterback will be his quarterback.
Yeah.
He's got a good freshman quarterback.
I don't know why Chem Engineer says I sound dumb talking about John. I'm just simply quoting facts about this coach.
Yeah, I mean, just because he's coaching at Tulane does not mean he's not a good football coach.
Are you kidding me? Yeah. I mean, well, Kirk Cignetti coached at James Madison. How's he doing? Ryan Day was an assistant. Kirby Smart was an assistant. How they doing? I think they're doing just fine, bro. This guy's a good coach, folks. He's got a winning record. Football is football, QB. Don't you always say that? It's just 11 on 11.
Yeah, I mean, look, there's some good coaches in college football. There's some bad coaches in college football. There's some good coaches in the National Football League at the highest level of the best in the world.
And there's
some dudes that should not be coaching at that level. They shouldn't even be coaching high school. I've experienced it myself sitting in meetings. I'm going, how in the hell is this guy coaching the best players in the world?
Yeah.
It's a fact.
Yeah.
So here, bottom line is we need to just keep our solid players, and you got to find a quarterback guy that knows how to handle quarterbacks and call plays. Because too many coaches get attached to quarterbacks, and that gets your ass fired.
It sure does. And listen, John, I think we saw that here. John Summerall is going to bring in some really good coaches and players. I'm just very confident about this hire. I hope I'm not wrong, but I could go on here and make everybody just.
Well, here's the thing, JC.
I could go on here and say
you can sit here and complain. Like I always talk about control what you can control. You know, people talk about this, that, and the other. You can only control whatever happens. You can't control anything about the coaching hires. All you can do now, if you're a Gator fan, is support your team. You don't have to be excited, but support your team and your players and hope.
Well, they do that here.
They do support our damn fans show up.
They do that here in Gainesville, and tip the cap to the Florida Gator fans of 2025. If there's a silver lining to any of it, it's that the people who pay for this and the people who spend their time and make plans because of this are still on board, and that has to make a new coach very, very excited about coming here. That has to. And that means part of his job is already done for him, right? Energize the fan base. Well, when you see some of these guys he hires and you see some of these players that come in, I think you'll be energized. I really do.
Andy's question was, what are the odds of DJ starting week 1 next year? I don't know. I mean, Again, I've told these people this a million times. It's not just the quarterback. It could be the tailback. It could be the left guard. You don't know. JC, you and I can be on a same staff and look at a player, evaluate him, and you love him. I don't love him. If I have the final say, he ain't playing.
Yeah.
If you have the final say, he's playing. So it does not matter where a guy has been ranked nationally. Does not matter, whatever. If that coach's philosophy and he watches that kid on tape and does not like it, he's going to sit down with those players and say, look, you can stay here, but we're bringing these guys in to be our players. So I don't know what's going to happen at the quarterback. I don't know what's going to happen at wide receivers, but people got to remember there's a lot of good players around America, right? Yeah. And the coaches are going to play, the new coaches are going to bring who they like. Whether it's from their school or schools that they coached at or schools that they played against, they're going to try to get those players.
I mean, who at Ole Miss was thrilled about Trinidad Chambliss before Trinidad Chambliss?
Yeah.
And so you got to trust the coach to know. Now, I mean, Tulane's credit, he could find players, and that's what he's going to do at LSU. And maybe it's a different paradigm there, but the reality is that you won't know until you just got to trust the coach, man. That's what he's been $7.5 million freaking dollars to do. He's going to make $50 million here at Florida again. Well, let's see if this guy can do better than the last $50 million guy.
All right,
I think they can. I think they can.
We're going to turn to Mike Morgan's knowledge now. You did a great job, JC, with your Navy sweatshirt and your
Tulane and Ole Miss
wave, and that's a great Ole Miss visor, by the way.
Oh, I love this, and I hope Alabama beats them in the playoff. I don't know. We'll see.
All right, that's JC Joyce on the Titan More Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp. We'll take a quick time out, come back and joined by Mike Morgan. And you're watching and listening to Matthews in the Morning from the International Diamond Center Studios. We'll be right back.
Our premium sponsors are Atlantic Roofing, Campus USA Credit Union, International Diamond Center, J.F. Hayden's Craft Liqueurs, Los Landeros Tequila, Meldon Law, Titan MRI and Imaging, UF Health Orthopedics. Our gridiron sponsors are Baker's Sports, Comfort Temp, Electronics World, Florida Cracker Kitchen, Florida Victorious, Gallo Car Wash, Miapa Latin Cafe, Peachland Dental, Quality Plumbing, Rue's Ogre State Farm, Silverback Concrete, 84 Lumber, Big Mills Cheesesteaks, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Gator Dominoes, Ironwood Golf Course, McDonald's of Gainesville, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, UF Bookstores, Advocare, and MG&A Wealth. Watch and listen to us live on Facebook and YouTube. Listen to the podcast whenever on Apple, Spotify, or wherever you listen to your favorite podcast. Remember to like, follow, and subscribe so you don't miss any episodes. And if you want to advertise, give my man Freddie a call at 352-284-3733.
Coach, you know what always impressed me? How you beat Florida State to win the 1996 National Championship.
And I was really impressed with your 06, 08, and 09 Gator teams.
And the way you coached Danny to the Heisman Trophy.
A lot like what you did with Tim Tebow.
You know, you won more SEC championships than you lost home games at the Swamp.
And you had plenty of super games in front of our Gator Nation.
Yeah, there really is something special about the Swamp.
I guess that's why we say about the Swamp, only the Gators get out alive.
To the Swamp and the Gators, with the best beverage served at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, 100% agave, Los Landeros tequila, aged in bourbon barrels for a smoother taste.
I think you mean head beer coach, 1966 lager, a crisp, light, bodied lager for easy drinking.
Nope. Los Landeros tequila, smooth enough to drink neat, bold enough to elevate a cocktail.
1966 lager, enjoyed on game days in the fall or whenever you need a winning cold brew.
Los Landeros tequila.
1966 lager.
Los Landeros.
1966 lager.
Y'all stop bickering.
Okay, you're both wrong anyway. The best thing Spurrier's Gridiron Grill offers are Jerry's famous chocolate chip cookies.
Hi there, this is Coach Steve Spurrier, and I want to let you know that by popular demand, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill's delicious brunch is now served in a premium buffet. You have spoken, we have listened, and we're now serving Gainesville's only elevated buffet, complete with an omelet station, ginger sage chicken sausage, shredded short rib, and of course our chicken and waffles. Plus, you can enjoy bottomless mimosas and Bloody Marys. So join us every Saturday and Sunday from 11 to 3 for the best brunch in town.
What's up, everyone? I'm Mike Pouncey, and this is my twin brother Marquise Pouncey, and this is Life After Football. Let's go. We are the owners of Tropical Distillery, and JF Hayden's is our liqueur brand. We have 5 different flavors: a mango, a lychee, an espresso, citrus, and key lime pie. We pride ourselves on not only being a Florida-made brand, but also a cocktail solution. With that being said, cheers and go Gators.
Welcome back to the International Diamond Center Studios. Gallo Car Wash is locally owned by UF alum and the only car wash that provides NIL opportunities to Gator athletes. Locations on Northwest 13th Street, Wilson Road, and coming soon to Jonesville. Let's go back to the Titan MR Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Temp, our good friend Mike Morgan, who had the call of the Aggies and Longhorns. Huge upset there in Austin.
Yeah, that was awesome, Shane. First time I've ever had a chance to even be at the Lone Star Showdown, but to call it and with a lot, kind of riding on the line, 2 good teams. I mean, one team that everybody thought was really good, although I think people are going to start picking Texas A&M apart right now after the loss. And then Texas, if they didn't play Ohio State, they're in the playoff, but since they played them, lost by 7, they're probably going to be out, even though they'd beaten Vanderbilt, which was top 10 at the time, might still be after this poll, I don't know. They beat Oklahoma top 10, and now they beat A&M top 10. Nobody else has that resume in terms of wins, but as we all know, they lost in the Swamp to a Florida team that at the time still seemed motivated, and Billy was still a coach and all that good stuff, but ultimately that's probably what's going to keep them out.
Yeah, Mike M. I don't think you're texting here or on the
No, different Mike M.
Yeah, YouTube brought to you by Quality Punches. How about that Texas O-line, Shane? Major changes. I still don't think they're very good, right, Mike?
The Texas O-line, no, it's not good at all. I mean, it was the weakness all year long, but they played much better. To their credit, and maybe it's just when Brian Baldinger and I show up, because we had them against Oklahoma too. And this just in, Oklahoma's got a pretty good defense and a really good front. But in both cases, Texas came to play and blocked well. You know, it's not a great offensive line at all. And the first half of the year, they were terrible. They couldn't block. It's one of the few teams in the country that I've seen where the top three running backs are all averaging under 4 yards a carry. But again, you wouldn't have known that if you saw Trey Wisner running for over 100 yards against A&M and running for close to 100 against Oklahoma. So they're just hot and cold on the line. But everything else, you've said this a number of times, and it's true, that those that were beating up on Arch at the beginning of the year, look out next year, because he is the real deal. I mean, you just watch him. It is a unique skill set that very few players have. They just haven't – they really lost a ton of guys that they didn't recover from early in the year. But Sark is still really good. Arch is good. They'll be one of the top teams in the country next year.
I agree with that. I don't think they make the playoffs, though, with 3 losses.
Probably not. It's one of those, if we had 16, right, then they're a lock. If we had 16, who's the other team I was just thinking of? Oh, Vanderbilt would be a lock. So if you think Greg Sankey wouldn't love the playoff to go to 16, you know, that's 2 more SEC teams that would have certainly gotten in if we went from 12 to 16.
This text real quick. I want to get your thoughts on this, Mike. It's from Robert on the Titan War text line. With Coach Summerall in place, do you think Lagway stays? Your thoughts on if he's correctable by a good OC or QB coach? I'm guessing Summerall didn't have a stud at QB to bring with him like Lane did. Summerall lost his stud quarterback to Duke for about $4 million a year, right? Last year,
right?
The guys playing at Duke, but they paid him a ton. His quarterback this year is the transfer from BYU, who's probably like 28 years old. I don't know if he's correctable or not. Here's what I say. We don't have time for development. There is no time for that. You find a guy that can play, that you've watched tape on, that you like, and I'm telling you right now, it'll probably be whoever the offensive coordinator is going to bring his own guy in my opinion. Right or wrong, we'll see. But that's how I feel about it.
You know, I just thought about this while you were, and your listener was highlighting that question. If it wasn't for premarital sex by the BYU quarterback, John Summerall might not be in Gainesville today. Think about that, because he gets kicked out because of his relations. They don't look fondly on that at BYU. Therefore, John Summerall lands a really good quarterback in the portal, kind of last second, if you will, to help Tulane have the season that they're having. I say that half tongue in cheek, but you never know. Things have a weird way of happening. Shane, I think the point on the OC, it speaks to a bigger one. You know, I watched Will Muschamp at Florida, did some of his games there for TV, and then some of his games at South Carolina for TV. Who knows what Will Muschamp would have been if he actually found a really good OC. He never did. I mean, he was 0 for like 7 at both those schools combined. If you look at the openings right now, or the ones that have just been filled, and by the way, Kentucky just came open, and look for them to hire an offensive guy. Florida fired Napier. The offense struggled mightily under Billy's direction. LSU fires Brian Kelly. The offense was woeful this year. Auburn fires Hugh Freeze. Their offense under multiple coordinators, terrible. And Kentucky, as I just said, is firing Mark Stoops. And Mark Stoops had one successful year with Liam Cohen as the OC, and then Liam Cohen leaves for the NFL. The other OCs never got it going. Why do I say all that? If you hire a defensive guy like John Summerall, who is a hot commodity, and I mean, there's a ton of – right now you're breaking hearts in Auburn, you're breaking hearts in Lexington, Kentucky, the prodigal son, who is a great linebacker for them, led the team in tackles back in 2004. If you hire that coach with that side of the ball and his background and his acumen, you better get it right with the OC. Shane Beamer's another guy at South Carolina right now. He's going to be on the hot seat because he hasn't found a good OC yet, fired Mike Shula in the beginning of the year. The most important coordinator hire maybe of the last 20 years in Gainesville is going to be who John Sumrall hires as the offensive coordinator. And it's not easy. I mean, it's real easy for you and I to sit up here and say, throw out some names, but even some of the names that everybody thought would be a great hire don't always work for a number of different reasons. So it's going to be massive. I mean, they're saying all the right things, right? We expect Florida to have a great high octane offense that's in our DNA and everything. And of course. But now saying that and doing it and making the right hire, those aren't necessarily the same thing. So I'd be very curious who the hire is going to be.
Who do you think Kentucky's going to go after, Mike?
Well, the name I keep hearing is Will Stein.
Yeah.
They are going to go with if you're a defensive guy, you need not even apply because they just had that with Mark Stoops. You need not even apply. I don't care if it's the recreation of Buddy Ryan. You need not apply. They have been lackluster on offense for almost all of them. Even when Mark Stoops was winning 10 games, they did so with smoke and mirrors, a boring offense, a great defense, and they ran the ball well, hardly ever threw it well. So they're going to try to they're going to be looking for the same thing Florida is. They're going to be looking for the same thing. Auburn gets goalish, so you assume that's going to be their offensive mind, but technically they still have to hire an OC. LSU's got Lane, so that's pretty much covered, and Charlie Weiss Jr. But these other schools, they're all looking for the same thing. The offense was down this year across the country and especially in the SEC. So the market value of a hotshot play caller has never been higher. And that's why you saw the bidding war for Lane Kiffin. That's why you see all these people going after all these particular offensive coordinators now with reckless abandon, because it's important. You can't just win strictly on defense anymore. You've got to be able to put points on the board. And so I think Kentucky, without question, goes offensive.
Yeah, if Will Stein, he's from the state of Kentucky, played his ball at Louisville. That's another opening that possibly Cade Bell could go to. I know Oregon was very interested in him as well. So we'll see. The names for our OC are Cade, the Tennessee OC, Neil Brown, and Buster Faulkner is what I'm hearing. So we'll see. I think they all do a good job. Some are different than others.
Yeah. Right.
Buster Faulkner, it wouldn't surprise me if he ends back up at Georgia after this year. Who knows?
But you got Mike Bobo there. I don't think Mike's going anywhere.
Well, I know, but they ain't real happy with their offense there, from what I'm hearing.
Well, they're never happy with Mike Bobo. That's the funny thing about it. Poor Mike has been like a piñata every time he's been the play caller there, and it's not electric at all. But they do win a ton of games, so I don't know if Kirby's complaining about it.
Yeah. Mike, when you look at the landscape of college football, I don't know if I asked you this. I think I already asked you this. I can't remember, but I asked JC this. Is what, in your opinion, when it comes to the playoffs, when you look at 10-2 Oklahoma, 10-2 Vanderbilt, I don't know who lost to who. I don't have their schedule in front of me. But right now, I think Oklahoma is in and Vanderbilt is sitting on the outside, but it seems like Vanderbilt is the team that's playing better football right now.
I wouldn't argue with any of that. And again, just for giggles, I'll remind you that Texas beat both of them, but Texas lost to Ohio State on the road in week 1. Texas would be an automatic over both of them. It wouldn't even be close had Texas not scheduled Ohio State in Columbus and lost by 7. But I'm not trying to sound like Mr. Texas Longhorn here. I look at it, and I think the committee still has problems. You have problems because you've got somehow Notre Dame over Miami, and Miami beat Notre Dame head-to-head, and they have identical records. And then you have this – it looks like we're falling back into the same lazy math where 3 losses is higher than 2, and therefore the 2-loss team gets in over the 3-loss team. Well, then why the hell are you going to schedule anybody out of conference? I mean, if you're Florida and you've already got Florida State, and I realize Florida State's been pretty lackluster here for a long time, but that makes 10 games with a 9-game slate against quote-unquote quality competition. You're not going to go out of your way to schedule a heavyweight with the 11th game, the 12th game, because when Florida gets back into the playoff conversation, I know it feels like it's been forever, but Florida will actually be relevant again. I'm convinced of it in college football and in the postseason playing for high stakes. What is the motivation for Florida to play like, again, Ohio State or somebody worth a damn in the ACC, Clemson? I don't know, somebody. I just don't know what the motivation is going to be. So the committee's still a mess, and I don't think they know what the hell they're doing and how to treat this whole thing. But to your question, I think Oklahoma gets in over Vandy. I don't know why. I'd have to really look into those schedules. They didn't play each other, unfortunately. Otherwise, that would be the ultimate tiebreaker. But we don't have that. And Oklahoma came in rated highly, and Vanderbilt did not. And sometimes that's really what it comes down to. I'll say this as a Heisman voter, I'd be shocked. You vote 1, 2, 3. I can't see a world in which Diego Pavia is not on my ballot. It's just a matter of which spot, 1, 2, or 3.
Mm-hmm. I agree with that. Mike, let's switch gears real quick because time goes by fast. Gators play at Cameron Indoor tomorrow night against Duke. Any chance the Gators can find a way to beat the Duke Blue Devils?
Yeah, I mean, when you're as talented as Florida, there's always a chance. But I think what fans are seeing and realizing now, and it's only, we're December 1, but this was my biggest concern coming in. Walter Clayton and Will Richard, those are not easy guys to replace. And Florida can put up one of the best front courts in the country, but it's still a backcourt game in college basketball in so many ways. So Florida's going to win a bunch of games. Florida's going to be a tournament team. I don't know if they're a Final Four team, though, and that's what you're seeing. They're shooting abysmal right now, and they don't have what Clayton was and what made him so valuable. I mean, he was a dog, and he was a guy that just when you needed a big shot, when you needed a big moment, you knew it was going to go to Walter Clayton. I don't know who that is right now on this year's Florida team. So there's no need to hit a panic button. I'm just saying that they look different. There's no doubt about that. They look different, and I don't think you just replace him out of the portal or Boogie Flan's a fine player, and Walter Claytons don't come around very often, and I think he was your ultimate difference. You don't win a national title last year without Walter Clayton. Simple. And I think this team right now is still trying to find that alpha male in this backcourt in particular.
It's early in the season, but you've called some games. Who has looked the best in the conference to you?
I'm at Bama Saturday. I've had Auburn and Tennessee. I haven't had Kentucky, but I have not been impressed. Am I missing anybody? I think right now, Alabama, I would say, with Tennessee right there, kind of 1A, 1B. But it's pretty clear to me with this start. I mean, the results all matter. I know a lot of people just ignore basketball in November, and I get it. It's still football season. But the reason why the SEC got a record 14 bids is because they won all those big games in November and December when a lot of people aren't paying attention. And what that does is with the net ranking, it makes sure that every game you play in conference is a quad 1, quad 2 game because all the numbers are good based on non-con. So you're not getting 14 teams this year. Let me go ahead and stop the drama. It's going to be a different looking year in terms of the SEC. Still a great conference. I'd put it up against anybody. But it's not going to be a situation where nearly every team in the conference gets in the big dance. That's not happening. And I'm still trying to figure out, who is this year's Florida? Who is this year's Auburn, a Final Four team from last year? I'm not sure. I think the three teams I mentioned are right up there. I'm sure I'm forgetting somebody. I mean, Florida is certainly in the conversation, but I don't know if Florida is. I don't think Florida is as good as they are last year. Maybe I'm proven wrong over time. I'm not sure Auburn is as good as they were last year. Tennessee, maybe not. So it's a little bit different, Shane. But those are, to me, up to this point, I've got Mississippi State, Georgia Tech Wednesday. Up to this point, those are the best teams.
All right, back to football.
Back to Lane Kiffin. All right, let's go.
Well, we're done with Lane. Lane's done. He's done.
We're done with Lane. Okay.
Yeah, we're done. Good luck at LSU. There's LSU's a mess. Lane's a mess. So maybe it's a great marriage for those guys over there. I think he's a really good football. I think he's a really good football coach. So, SEC championship game. Here we are, Alabama, Georgia again.
Shocker.
Yeah. Now, let me ask you this. If Alabama loses, are they out? Got 3 losses.
I say no. I say no only because I don't see a world in which Greg Sankey allows an SEC championship game participant to not get in.
Yeah.
But again, if it's what would it be 10-3 Alabama at that point? You know, if you're Tennessee, if you're Vanderbilt, you've got an argument. If you're Oklahoma, you're probably already in. And if you're Texas, stack up Texas's resume to Alabama's at that point, and Texas's would be better. So there would be a lot of scuttlebutt about it, but I still, especially if you're going to keep these games relevant, these conference championship games, you can't have the loser, the number 2 seed in the best conference in the land. You can't have the loser be bounced out of a playoff based almost entirely on losing that extra game. I don't think anybody has the appetite for that, especially Greg Sankey, and I don't think the committee wants to piss him off again like he did 2 years ago. So I would say no, they're still in, but there'd be a very strong argument to keep them out.
All right. Mike, good stuff as always. Time went by way too fast.
Way fast. Yeah.
You got 2 basketball games this week, you said?
Yeah, I've got the SEC ACC Challenge on Wednesday. That's Georgia Tech, Mississippi State. And then I've got a non-con game for Alabama, my first trip to Tuscaloosa this year on Sunday. I said Saturday, Sunday night. So it'll be my first weekend without a football game in 3.5 months. So I'm going to full-fledged basketball mode now, at least on the play-by-play side. And we've got the podcast. Invite all your audience to tune us in every Tuesday, JC and Morgan. That'll be tomorrow morning at 8:45.
Good stuff. Appreciate your time. We'll talk to you next week, my man.
I always enjoy it, Shane. Thank you.
Yep. Mike Morgan joins us on the Titan Moore Hotline, courtesy of Comfort Town. Injuries occur whenever and however. It's never convenient for sprains, strains, and minor fractures. UF Health Orthocare makes it convenient for you. 7 days a week, including evenings, and walk-ins are welcome. That's UF Health Orthopedics and Sports Medicine. Appreciate everybody chiming in. We'll see you tomorrow. Take care.